Hello and welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring. Somewhere lost in the endless waves of time is a gem promising eternal life. The race is on as time travellers use portal technology to hop between eras, hoping to be first to claim the all-powerful prize. This is Eternitium, a fast-moving, timey-wimey deck-building game for 1 to 5 players that plays in around 30 minutes to an hour. I have here a copy of the second edition of the game, which was sent to the channel for review, and today we're going to take a closer look at how the game plays and whether it's worth your time to play it. The first thing to note is the rather lovely presentation. The art is by Torres and it is incredibly evocative. He presents vistas out of time and futuristic technology that exists in that intriguing space where functional meets fantastical. Each piece has an unusual eerie quality. Living worlds viewed from an isolating distance, beauty presented through the cold prism of the eyes of a jaded traveller who can go to any time but who doesn't belong in any place. Indeed, it's the art that does the heavy lifting when it comes to selling the theme, because the gameplay itself, while slick and fast, is, as with many deck builders, very mechanical, and it doesn't offer much of a hook to enable players to engage with the concept. You will play as time travellers, but you will never really feel like time travellers. To get started, each player takes a player board. While these aren't actually necessary to play, they are functionally useful and very nicely designed. There's even a spot gloss on the Eternitium gem in the centre. Each player takes a starting deck comprising 5 action cards, 1 droid and 4 portals. These cards are used to create a draw pile on the player board. You then arrange the tableau of cards. Basic portals are arranged by type along the top in 4 stacks. Next, you shuffle the basic technologies to create a draw pile and flip the top 3 to form the starting offer. You then do the same with the advanced technologies. Finally, you shuffle the era cards and deal 10 face down to each player. Players place their stack of era cards on the central space of their player boards and then turn the top card face up. The rest of the era cards form a common deck in the tableau and you reveal the top 2 as the starting offer. Finally, each player in turn order takes 1 basic technology from the display or the top face down card from the basic technology draw deck. They shuffle it into their deck and then they draw a starting hand of 5 cards. Each time a player takes a face up card, replace it with 1 from the draw deck. Play then proceeds in rounds with each player in turn working through 5 phases. First, you must take one of the basic portal cards from the tableau and add it to your hand if there are any available. Next, you play cards from your hand. You play them one by one, and unlike in some other deck builders where cards are played in front of you and then discarded at the end of the turn, each card in Eternitium is played directly into your discard pile and immediately resolved. And the aim here is simple. You want to discard all of the cards from your era stack to be the first player to reveal the Eternitium gem. And you do this by playing portal cards that match the portal symbols on the era cards. So here I play a triangle portal. I place it face up in my own discard pile, and that lets me travel through the first era in my stack because it has a matching triangle symbol. I can now destroy the era card, placing it in a common discard pile next to the era draw deck. So far, so simple. But now I have a problem. My next era card is face down. I am lost in time and I need to find a portal that will get me to my next destination. I could end my turn, discarding the rest of my hand to my discard pile and moving on to the next phase of the round. However, I have a handy droid. If I play this little fella to my discard pile, I can flip my next unrevealed era card face up. And important to note, that might not actually be the top era card. If the top era card is already revealed, I can reveal the next one down, or even the next one under that, up to 3 cards deep in the stack. So in this case, I flip the top card, and bingo, it's an era that requires a circle portal, and I do have a circle portal in my hand, so I now play that and I get to remove another era card. Things are going well, but I am stuck in the situation I was in before. I am faced with a hidden era card, and this time I have no droid to help me. Again, I could choose to end my turn, or I can push my luck. I can play a portal card from my hand, placing it in my discard pile, and then I can reveal the top era card. If the card I played matches, the era card is removed from my stack and I can continue my turn. If I'm wrong, the era card is put face down in my stack, the stack is shuffled, and I cannot play any more cards this turn. Whether you choose to end your turn or you are forced to end your turn, once you have finished taking actions, you discard any cards remaining in your hand. Sometimes you may be stuck in a situation where you really don't want to play any cards in your turn. If this happens, you can instead prepare for your next time jump. To do this, you can pick one card to keep from your hand to use in your next turn. You can then choose as many cards as you want from your hand and destroy them, as long as you don't ever have less than 6 cards in total in your deck. The destroyed cards are removed from the game completely. And that is a really useful way to keep your deck lean, helping to ensure you pull your powerful cards when you need them. Finally, any cards you don't want to destroy or keep are discarded, and you move on to the next phase, purchasing tech. In order to chart a path through time, you will need better technology than you start the game with, so in the next phase you have the option of buying one new card. This is how you start to build a more efficient deck. You can take any one face-up basic or advanced tech card from the tableau, placing it face down on the top of your own deck and thereby ensuring you will have it available in your next hand. You then replace the card you took with one from the draw deck. Alternatively, you can take the top face down card from the basic or advanced tech draw decks, gambling that they will be better than the ones that are already on display. If you take a card, you must then pay the price. Stopping to develop new tech costs time, and that will set you back in your search for the Eternitium gem. If you took a basic tech card, you must take one of the face-up era cards from the tableau, placing it face-up on the top of your era deck. If you took an advanced tech card, you must take both of the face-up era cards, placing them in any order on the top of your era deck. You then refresh the tableau with new era cards. Finally, you refill your hand. If you pushed your luck and failed to destroy an era card earlier this round, you draw until you have a hand of 4 cards. If you chose to prepare earlier in the round, you draw until you have a hand of 6 cards. Otherwise, you draw up to 5 cards. If, while drawing, your deck runs out, you shuffle your discard pile to form a new draw deck, and then you continue pulling cards. Play then moves to the left, and this continues until someone unearths the Eternitium gem. So the core gameplay should be very familiar to anyone who has played a deck builder. First, you are forced to take a basic portal. This can be helpful early on, but will eventually start to clag up your hand, making you inefficient. Then you play cards to achieve your goal of travelling through era cards. Finally, you purchase a new card if you want to, gaining something good but at the expense of setting you back on your journey to victory. Of course, things get more fun once you start buying the tech cards, because that's how you build combos into your deck and develop synergies that will let you blow through multiple eras with ease. There are 7 kinds of basic tech, and they are all incredibly useful. Double portals increase your chance of hitting a match with your era cards, the transporter lets you discard any 2 cards from your hand to remove the next era card, and the digital wallet lets you purchase tech cards for 1 less era card than usual. The smartphone is particularly interesting because it lets you draw 2 more action cards. And because played cards go immediately into your discard pile, and if at any point you run out of cards to draw you shuffle your discard pile to form a new draw deck, it is possible for the smartphone to cycle itself into your hand to be used again. But for me, the best basic tech card is the Data Analyzer. It lets you destroy or discard cards in your hand so you can then draw an equal number of replacement cards. When I play deck builders, I always play to keep my deck as slim as possible, and the Data Analyzer is the best way to do that. Not surprisingly, advanced tech cards are more powerful. There are 7 of them, including the ultimate portals that will match any era card. There are also several tech cards that ramp up the player interaction to ensure this isn't a game of multiplayer solitaire. You can use time bombs to flip rival era cards face down, quantum clocks to force opponents to add more era cards to their deck, and the thieving robot lets you yoink a card right out of an opponent's discard pile. Be careful though, because afterwards you have to put the thieving robot in their discard pile, so your choices may come back to haunt you. I was also sent the Next Gen expansion, which features 6 new types of tech, 3 basic and 3 advanced. I especially like the Vortex that lets you copy the effects of a visible tech card in the tableau, and the Ion batteries that let you destroy a portal card in your hand to replace it with a basic tech card, or destroy a basic tech card to replace it with an advanced tech card. That really gels with my playstyle. The combination of race, push your luck, deck building and gotcha mechanisms makes this a fun little multiplayer game that manages to offer some interesting choices without outstaying its welcome. However, if you can't get your group together, there is also a reasonable solo experience. Gameplay is pretty much the same, except you have exactly 8 turns to reach the Eternitium gem, and at the end of each of your turns, you draw an action card from an AI deck and apply the effects. As the AI deck comprises all the basic and advanced tech cards designed to screw with other players, you can find you are often getting time bombed or hit with a temporal blaster, making it difficult to create a cohesive strategy that plays out exactly as you planned. 10 solo missions are included, which put a twist on the basic gameplay and present additional challenges for you to overcome, so it's a fairly robust and engaging experience. I admit I rather like deck building games in general. I've played a few over the years. However, they do have a tendency to get a bit messy. In the late stages of a game, it's not uncommon to end up with powerful decks of perfect combos, so playing this card lets you play that card, so you can do that thing which lets you do this thing, which lets you draw 2 more cards so you can do another thing. And it can be a lot to juggle, and plotting out your whole turn can get a bit stodgy. Not to mention a bit tiresome for opponents who may not have got their engine up and running like you have, and can only roll their eyes as you draw, and draw again. To a certain extent, Eternitium doesn't have that issue. There's only a handful of tech cards and they are all fairly self-explanatory. Chaining doesn't get too out of hand and most cards have a hard cap on their efficiency. The smartphone, for example, can only be used 3 times per turn and can't be played to an empty discard pile, and the droids don't work if the top 3 cards of your era deck are already revealed. As a result, everything feels a bit more manageable. Turns are fast, so players never have to wait long before they can act again, and you can easily wrap up a game in under an hour. But that does also mean progress can feel quite stilted. You can't create intricate systems of interconnected and perfectly synergized cards because everything always goes back into your discard pile when you play it. And there is no economic engine. You aren't buying cards that grant you a currency to buy more cards. A digital wallet will let you reduce the cost of the 1 card you can buy, and a laboratory will let you take 1 more card than normal, but in a usual turn you are adding just 2 cards to your deck. 1 portal and 1 tech. Furthermore, in the early stages of the game at least, you don't even know what your stack of era cards contains. They are dealt randomly and face down. You could have all triangles, mainly circles, or an even spread. It makes it quite difficult to make the most efficient purchasing choices when you don't know what you need or what you are working towards. In that regard, sometimes it feels like purchases aren't progress and your success or failure is more down to randomness than clever play. There is also only one way to win: get to the Eternitium gem. Sure, if 2 people get there at the same time, there is a tiebreaker involving points, where they score 1 point for each basic tech and 2 points for each advanced tech in their deck, but ultimately this is a race, so your strategy is always burn through your era cards as quickly as possible. If you start to fall behind, there is no opportunity to pivot and acquire victory points in other ways. Now that sounds like a fair few knocks against the game, but despite them, I still rather enjoyed my time with Eternitium. Its limitations are also part of its strength. It's easy to teach, quick to play, not too intimidating, has fairly intuitive iconography, card play that doesn't take long to grasp, and because there are restrictions on how many cards you can buy and use, and every purchase sets you back a step, you don't tend to get runaway leaders. New players aren't going to get brutally destroyed by a skilled opponent, and will feel like they are in it to win it as much as everyone else. As a deck builder that you don't have to dedicate a whole evening to, I think it works very well. In fact, my biggest gripe is probably that, as I mentioned at the top of the review, the artwork has to carry the theme. The very mechanical gameplay doesn't do much to breathe life into the narrative. It all functions well, but when you discard a portal card to discard an era card, there is no sense that you have travelled anywhere or achieved something momentous. The lack of any kind of text on the cards only increases that sense of separation from action and theme. It is perfectly understandable to want to use iconography to make localization easier, but it can make a game feel rather sterile. And while I don't necessarily think sterile is a bad thing thematically for this game, it can make it difficult to engage, leaving players feeling cold. Still, I'm keeping this one on my shelf, for now at least. because it may feel somewhat flawed, but I've had fun with it, and a high degree of player interaction keeps up the momentum from the first card pull to the last. Ultimately, I've never felt that time with Eternitium has been time wasted. And speaking of time, at the time of this video going live, the publishers are running a Gamefound crowdfunding campaign for another printing of Eternitium with a new expansion. So if this sounds like your sort of thing, be sure to check out the campaign before time runs out. You will find a link in the video description below. But that is it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please consider pressing the like button. If you really like this video, please consider subscribing if you don't already do so, and hopefully I will see you all again very soon. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye.